Hi, and welcome to yet another live Paybix webinar. My name is Hans. I will be your host for the coming 30 minutes. And as always, I'm joined by our CTO, Bart. Hi, Bart. How are you?
Hi, thank you, Hans.
Now, I said another live webinar, but this one is a special edition rather than giving another demo. We thought it would be a better idea to share the stage with one of our key users and let her share her experience with Epix and implementing our platform with you, our viewers. So please say hi to Audrey, and let me put Audrey on the stage. There we go.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Yes. I will go off stage and I will keep track of the chat. So if anybody has questions, please post and I will interrupt Hans and Audrey.
And submit the questions. Right. Okay. Audrey, first of all, thank you for taking the time to share your views with us. Very nice of you. Much appreciated.
Well, thank you for inviting me today.
Our pleasure. Our pleasure. Okay. Let us start right away. I will introduce you to the audience, Audrey. So you have been in HR for quite a while, 9 years to be precise.
Yes.
You worked first in France, which is your home country, and then you moved 8 years ago to Belgium. So one of my questions would be, are you still happy living in Belgium? Any plans to return to France?
Ooh, I do not think so. I like Belgium too much, I think.
Okay. Now you work for French, Belgian, American, and Luxembourg companies. And for the last 2.5 years, you have been working for Satellite Industries as the European HR lead. Your current responsibilities include coordination and leading of the European HR team with 3 people in Germany, UK, and Belgium. You're also responsible for piloting some HR European scale projects and also the support. You are also the backup for all operational HR topics for 7 countries. And to conclude, you're also directly in charge of all the sub-HR projects for Belgium, France, the Netherlands, Poland, and Italy. Did I forget something important?
Fortunately, no, that's already a lot.
I can imagine, I can imagine. Now, may I kindly ask you to introduce Satellite Industries to the viewers, please?
Of course, especially since I'm not sure a lot of people know of it, as we are really well known in our branch, but it's a really small sector. So we are a US and company. We are created in the US already 65 years ago, I think. We're in Europe for more than 30 years now. We are the world's largest manufacturer of portable sanitation products. So the main product we have, probably all of you know, will be the portable toilets you see, for example, on construction sites or on festivals, if you are going to festivals. We are a family company and middle size in Europe. We have around 85 people in 7 different countries. So on top of Belgium, we are also located in the Netherlands, in France, in Italy, in Poland, the UK, and Germany. Our biggest site is really in Germany. We have almost half of our people there. The smallest in the Netherlands, we have only 4 people at the moment. And from the European company, we are in charge of all of the European, Middle East, and African markets, which is quite large.
Okay, you haven't mentioned the American population. How big would that be, approximately?
We have around 500 people in the US.
Okay, and you mentioned the festival season. This has just kicked off. I imagine things are very busy right now at Satellite.
We are totally in the peak season. It's like the sprint currently.
Okay, now let's take a closer look maybe at your older payroll technology stack. Could you comment on that, please?
Well, we can say that we did not have any. That could be a good start. We had already around 85 employees. We were not in France yet, so we had only 6 operating countries.
Yeah.
And we operated with really 6 different payroll providers. So 6 totally different processes, no centralization of the processes or the information. Everything was separated per country.
Yeah, so all silos basically, no integration whatsoever between your different tools. Okay,
yes.
And could you maybe elaborate on how you used to exchange data with your in-country payroll providers back in the days?
So first you need to understand how we were managing the data like inside satellites. Like a lot of middle-sized companies, we grew, but we did not adapt to our size. So we're still functioning as if we had like 10 or 15 employees, which means nothing was digitalized, no sick days, no holidays. Our employees, to ask for their holidays, they used Word documents. We had Excel files to follow the holidays and sick leaves of our 85 employees. Excel files to follow our employees, like starters, leavers, salaries, all of that. All of the analysis of our employees were also done on Excel. We used it a lot.
Yeah.
And so we had to manually do an entry of the data into the local payroll providers tools or send them manually the data per email. So that took a lot of time.
I can imagine. Now, what you described here, Audrey, is, I think, that many multi-country employers face with Word and Excel being the best friends, maybe also the best friends of the global payroll professional.
Yes, but Excel at the end, it's a great tool, but when we grow too much, it's too time consuming.
I agree. Well, it's a great tool, but it's not designed for payroll purposes, obviously.
Not at all.
And we even included a screenshot on a sheet that you used to apply for payroll purposes. It looks like a very complicated sheet.
And it was what we used until this January, until we managed to launch the self-service. It's on that kind of file we were entering and following all of the sick leaves and holidays for 85 people and for an entire year. So it was not easy to use. Of course, it was all manual, so you had a lot of entry mistakes because we cannot be perfect when we do things manually. And it was not like really readable, if we could say. I mean, you see what it looks like.
I was going to say, you need magnifying glasses to read this sheet. It's so complicated.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah. Okay, but you were not the only one to use that kind of files, I can assure you. Okay, so even if it's quite obvious, why could you maybe explain why in your case you started looking for alternatives to, let's say, the Excel-based working?
Well, we really wanted a common tool for all of our employees, for all of our territories, and to digitalize as much as we could all of our processes. But it's not an easy fit. Most of the tools are country-specific. It's really difficult to find like one tool that could apply to all of the countries. So we actually explored two options at that time. The first option was to find one payroll provider for all of our countries. But we did not want to have a really big payroll provider that will be like in all of the world. And we wanted direct access to the local payroll teams. We also wanted, if possible, a payroll provider that will be located in Europe. So they will be aware of the complexity of the specificities of the European countries. So that was one option. And the other was to find one unified software for all of our countries in conjunction with local payroll providers, which is at the end what we found with Epix.
Yeah, and you mentioned the direct access, but why is the direct access to the in-country payroll providers so important for you?
Well, for the rapidity, how fast we can get information, to have access to people with the right knowledge of, and that could bring us the right support. To give you an example, before we moved to Epix partner in Italy, we were with a really big payroll provider that was in a lot of countries. We were speaking to people in India that were that had partners in Italy. So we had to speak to someone in India, and they were going to ask our question to the person in Italy, who will answer to the person in India, who will answer to us.
Okay.
That is not really efficient.
No, must have taken a long time each time for each question.
Yes. Yeah. And the person going through an intermediary like that, the person in India did not understand how Italian payroll worked. So it was just having someone in the middle just blocking the flow of information, not helping in any way.
Yeah, okay. And so once you have made up your mind, then how did you organize your search towards an improvement, towards a solution?
On several fronts. On one side, I contacted specific global payroll providers that either I had recommendation for or knew from before. And I also did some online search to find other options available, both in Belgium and outside of Belgium. And that's how I found actually Paybix.
Yeah, so fortunately we were visible with Paybix on Google.
Yes, and your website was quite nice, so I was like, maybe I should contact them.
Yeah, okay. And so I'm sure you must have imposed on us some purchase criteria. And if yes, what would those have been, those purchase criteria?
Well, first, we really wanted something centralized. We were not going to go with something that could only apply to one country. We are going to go for the 6 or nothing.
Okay.
Then we really wanted something that could be adaptable to each country. That was really important for us to bring the right level of support to our employees. And we wanted a partner with a knowledge of the European countries and legislation.
Yeah, and about that adaptability to local countries, could you maybe give an example? Just what do you mean by that?
Well, we have a really clear example with the self-service, for example. Currently, we have one tool that can be adapted to each country legislation.
Okay.
For example, like the holidays in Poland, they can take them for 4 years and 9 months. In Belgium, it will be a year or maximum 15 months. In the UK, it's 12 months, and that we can really adapt it to each country.
Okay.
And even if we put specific rules internally, we can also adapt it.
Yeah. Yeah, you can indeed implement different rules, different policies, depending on the country for which you want to install the self-service application. Yeah.
Yes, and the rules internally, because sometimes you can adapt a little the rules.
Okay. And the next question would be, when implementing Epix, did you decide to change some of your in-country payroll providers, or do you still use the ones that you used to work with before?
Both. We still have, for the Netherlands, we are still with our former payroll provider because it works well and it's a small country. But we changed progressively most of our partners. We were not totally happy with the ones we had before, so it was really an opportunity for us to find better partners also. The last one we changed was Germany in January this year, so it was really recent. But I mean, no matter if we are with Paybix partners or not, we are still using Epix for all of our countries, so it does not change anything.
Yes, indeed, and to elaborate on that for our viewers, so all of our users are free to choose their own payroll providers, regardless of who they are. They don't have to be Paybix partners to make full use of the platform, and this is exactly what you do.
Yes, totally. And as we progressively changed our payroll providers, at first we had no partners and we were still using Epix.
Yeah, okay, let's move on to the transition then. How did you organize the change then, the transition itself?
Well, it was not really difficult actually. We had on one side a training about how to use the platform itself from Paybix, but it's pretty easy to use, so we got used to it pretty fast. On the other side, Virginie was really our customer contact at Paybix. Still is. She helped us and she's still helping us when needed a lot in the change of payroll providers. So at the end, it was really smooth for our employees. They saw almost no impact on their payroll, on their payslip or anything. And that was really important for us. We really moved step by step and country per country to lower the size of the project. We did not do everything at once. We really spread it out. So really something to know is you can test and check if a country is working before switching for a payroll provider for another country. You do not have to do everything at once, fortunately.
Yeah, and talking about impact, implementing a payroll software may be perceived as being very impactful for payroll professionals, but you proved the opposite, I have to say. So,
yeah. And at the end, it's such a gain on time that it was really worth it.
Yeah. Okay. And then one particular example was the employee self-service. You set a record of implementing the employee self-service within Satellite Industries. How did you do that?
Well, first you need to know we're really enthusiastic about the self-service coming. You saw what we were using before with the Word documents, with the Excel, so it was really something we were expecting and waiting for. We had a deployment plan spread over 6 weeks to really deploy it country per country.
Which is already short.
Yeah, but I mean, we are good. So, and as I was saying, we were really enthusiastic.
Yeah.
But at the end, actually, it worked so well that we did everything in barely 3 weeks in January for all of our 7 countries. Basically, it's really easy to use. So once everything was configured on the HR side, we just had to do one training of 30 minutes per territory to explain and show them how the platform worked, answer some questions. They didn't have a lot, and they were ready to use it.
And did you give all the trainings for the internal employees?
We shared it within the HR team. Like for the UK, I had my HR in the UK do it. For Germany, the same, the HR in Germany, and we took care of the others.
Yeah.
And sometimes we did, for example, Italy and Poland at the same time, because those are small territories.
Now, 3 weeks for 7 countries, Audrey, I can assure you this is extremely fast. So congratulations on that.
We are really proud of that.
Okay, maybe now let's take a look at your current payroll technology stack. You will see pop up on the slide. So there's now not 6, but 7 countries. Could you maybe elaborate on the current situation?
Yes, totally. We opened our 7th country in January, France, where we have 3 people at the moment.
Okay. With the P logo, we've also indicated which country you use a Paybix partner. So there's only the Netherlands remaining where you still work with your previous partner, right?
Yes, totally.
Yeah. Okay. And then on top of all the local payroll systems, we now have Epix, which communicates then in 2 directions with the local payroll providers. And on top, to feed the employee calendars, you have the employee self-service app. And I see you also have some approvers in the United States that are included in the approval of the absence management requests.
Yes, at the moment, no matter where the managers of our employees are, they can have access to a self-service to approve their holidays. So it means it's really unified for all of our employees. And there is some specific cases, for example, for our people who have manager in the US, they can follow the same process on everyone.
Okay, wonderful. And so now indeed you can say goodbye to Word and Excel for your absence management.
Finally, we have all of the information, the calendar, that salaries, everything is centralized. That's way more like practical. And especially our employees can see their balances, details, and ask their holiday directly online.
That probably saves you a lot of questions as well. Sorry. That probably saves you a lot of questions. And when they have a permanent view on the outstanding balance of holidays, those are all questions that you do not need to answer then.
Yes, and it's, way easier for them to follow their leave balance on a online tool than on a Word document.
Yeah. Okay. Now, if we translate all of this into benefits, what would you say that the benefits, the most important benefits, have been for Satellite Industries?
There are quite a lot, actually. First, well, of course, now we have a unified system with Epix, which is really the main added value with the absence management, which is fully automated now for sick leaves and holidays. It's really our biggest time gain here. We managed to totally unify the payroll processes for Belgium, Germany, and France already. We do the full closure in Epix. Okay. We also unified the payroll process between Italy and Poland by extracting the absence from the platform. Netherlands and the UK are going to arrive at the moment also. We don't need calendar data for those countries, so those are pretty easy payrolls. The Netherlands, we will change it at the time. It's a really small population, so we are not in a hurry. So a lot of gains here.
Okay, and also in your HR management, I suppose?
I mean, to not have to use Excel anymore, but to actually have all of the data online in one place, like the personal information, the contract information, probation periods. We don't have a separate file to follow them. We just have them online with like reminders when they are going to arrive. All of the salary evolution, it's easier to follow online than on an Excel file. All of the manual analysis we are doing on Excel, they are now already on the platform. Same for the headcount reports, same for the reports on the starters, the leavers, all of that. It's way easier to follow.
Yeah, and a headcount report may be one very difficult report, difficult to produce, at least in a multi-country environment, which now requires only a few clicks, right?
Barely a few clicks.
Barely a few clicks, okay. And then an important question, of course, is in terms of time gains. What are your conclusions about working with Epix?
Well, that's on the when you do the closing, the full closure through Epix, for a month that there is almost no change, it takes barely 5 minutes. It goes really, really fast because everything is already entered on the platform. So it's just a matter of checking that the right information were changed since last month. I see, for example, in Belgium, it took me like an hour per month for only 12 employees at that time to manually enter all of the sick leave days, all of the holidays, to redo the calculation at the end of the year between which type of holidays they took, which was, of course, always a different like analysis from the payroll provider because there were some changes during the year. Now it takes 5 minutes. Even for Italy and Poland, when we are using it partially, I have at least 20 minutes less just to send the payroll because I don't have to manually write all of the sick leave days and holidays. I just extract the Excel file. So every time a person has a change, like change of address, change of salary, anything, we do it right away. So it takes 2 minutes every time. And at the end, when we're actually processing the payroll, it's really smooth.
Yeah, and maybe add on that the processing time for the ICP is also much shorter since they are able to treat the information in an automated way. So we provide them with structured data and also localized data, which helps them reduce significantly their processing time as well.
And it really decreased all of the errors because when we do everything manually, there are typos and errors, of course.
Do you keep track of the number of errors before and after?
Not exactly, but we had at least one every 2 or 3 months, especially during the holidays, that we had to correct. So now we don't have that anymore, like never.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this all sounds rather positive, of course. Maybe share some final thoughts with the audience. Thoughts from Audrey that you could share with the viewers?
Well, you already wrote some over there, but maybe to summarize, for employees, it's a really great gain, especially the self-service. They don't have, before on the Excel, the Word document, they had to choose, for example, for Belgium, between the type of holidays they wanted to ask. Here, the system will analyze which payroll codes they need to apply. So they just have to ask for 1 day of holiday and they don't have to care about which type it will be. The setup was really smooth. We would like to be autonomous in our HR department. So it was really good to have the training to be able to do things ourselves, but at the same time to have the support when it was needed, when we did not understand something, when we did not have the time to modify something, then Paybix was there to support us. It was a challenge to find a tool that really applies to all of our countries and all of the specificities that is also easy to use and user-friendly. So we're really happy we found Epix for that. And really we really like the autonomous part. Like, for example, for the setup of the holidays, the policies, once we knew how to do one for Belgium, for example, for Germany, no matter, it's really easy to do the others. You do it the same way for all countries. You only change, for example, how long the holidays will be available. Like, is it 12 months? Is it 24 months? Is it 36. It's the only thing you change.
Okay. Yeah, we have different types of users. You're definitely a type that wants autonomy in their daily work, and who wants a training and wants then to implement everything by herself and the tool. And whereas we have also other users who prefer us to prepare as much as we can the setup, the initial setup of the platform, and then hand over a completely ready platform, ready for use.
And both are available here, which is really good. Because sometimes in really big softwares, you cannot have access to anything. You need to ask a self-service to do any little change, which is also time consuming when you have to wait for them to actually do the change.
Okay. And so you mentioned during preparation that Epix changed your life. Is it really true?
Yeah, in the HR department, yes, and for our employees too. I mean, we only have really good feedbacks from the self-service, but I mean, they went from a Word document from actually a real tool where they could follow their holidays. It's not like they are going to complain about it.
Yeah, and you also mentioned that for you as an employer, it's very important to have a unified experience also for the employees.
Yes, we are not deploying anything at the moment that do not apply to all of our 7 countries, because our employees deserve to have the same benefits no matter the country they are in. They are part of the same company, so they should have access to the same services.
Okay. All right, very well. Now, you are clearly an early adopter, Audrey, but our experience in the field is often that even if customers are very excited about the new features, there's always or often a reluctance to change the daily work procedures. Based on your experience, what would you share as a recommendation to all your fellow payroll professionals that are maybe a little bit reluctant to take the leap and to start implementing a new platform?
Well, I would say that really to not be scared to invest some of your time in the digitalization and automatization, as again afterwards is really tenfold. We see it with our company. It was a big task to change all of our payroll process and HR daily management. We had, of course, to invest some time and energy in this change, but the return on investment for our HR department is just incredible. The time gain, the increase in efficiency also, the decrease in errors, the ability also to concentrate on more added value tasks. Because let's be honest, we do not have any added value as HR professionals in manually entering holidays or sick leaves. That is not where our added value here. And especially, we are really proud of the impact it had on our employees to facilitate their daily life at Satellite. Yeah. So within the HR department, we really often say that we finally reached the 21st century for both our HR department and our employees, which, I mean, it was time to go there.
Yeah, fantastic. I entirely agree with what you say, indeed. We should try to keep the time spent on transactional processes such as payroll to an absolute minimum to keep enough time for more value-added tasks that really add value to your business, to your employer, to your company.
Yes, and concentrate on the support we can give our employees and our manager and all our people.
Absolutely. Okay, well, Audrey, that brings us to the end of the presentation. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences with the audience today.
Well, thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. It's our pleasure. To our viewers, thank you very much for attending this webinar. The next one will be in September. In the meantime, if you want to explore the use of our platform for your company, feel free to reach out to either Bart or myself. And if you want to get in touch with Audrey, feel free to reach out to either one of us as well, and we will get you in touch with Audrey. So thanks for watching today, and we wish you all a great summer. Bye-bye.